Hello and welcome to Dress to Kill, your favorite fashion in action movie podcast. And welcome to another video episode with our very favorite guest. Not favorite, oh my gosh, I should say favorite.
You're keeping that in. Do not edit that out.
Love it so much.
It just flowed out of me because we have so much fun with you. It's not meant to be a diss on anyone else. David Zaritsky, let me just cut to the chase here.
I am Alana's favorite. I'm just going to write this down real quick. Alana's favorite. Got it.
It's recorded. You have proof.
Oops. Am I blushing?
By the way, you got to explain something. We spent the last 20 minutes in the trenches of technology and sound, and me making Alana think that she's crazy when it was my headphones. So we've been through a lot.
We have been through a lot this morning. The sun was weird. It's all of it. It's the tech trenches. I love this term. I want to use this term from now on. That's exactly what that was.
We made it out though. I mean, we're like war buddies. Yeah.
We're glowing. Exactly. We're moving on with our wonderful lives.
And today we're here to talk about No Time to Die and what is next for the franchise after this movie came out, because there were so many big plot points and things to discuss and changes. It was just very different than any other Bond that we've seen for reasons we'll get into. Yeah. So
first of all, can we just cover? Oh my gosh! I just wanted to ask David officially on the record, how do you feel about this movie?
Exactly.
Like whatever.
I thought it was a very good movie. I don't think it was an excellent movie. I don't think it was an excellent James Bond movie, but I'll explain why, and I can make it very brief too, because I've had time, right? I've seen it like 9 times. I've seen it with family and friends and great venues, bad venues. The thing that I love about it is it's beautiful. It's well put together. The characters are fantastic. I don't think they knock you over the head. There was a lot of, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, pre-media around, hey, strength. And no, it was just great fleshed out characters. I didn't care about gender in any of this, which to me is a good character. Music, all the tropes. To me, there were some failures in writing. I think it was a weak bad guy with not a very good, clear plan if compared to my favorite movies. I know Elma's with me on this. And then the other thing is the ending. Like, I want to leave a theater after a Bond film, escape from my daily life, and I want to have a swagger and leave myself just walking down the street like this, or getting in the car and driving just a wee bit too fast, because life is great, it's joyous, it's fun, I'm embracing it, I want to save somebody. And no, this was doo-doo. No, the film wasn't doo-doo, but I mean, I could feel what doo-doo went through. So I have some mixed feelings, but I wouldn't give this like an average film score. I would give it like a B+, which is pretty damn good, but it's not going to make my top 7.
Wow.
Okay, interesting. And that's like when you look at it as a whole of the franchise, and you pick out No Time to Die as this kind of, I would call it an outlier. Yeah.
Totally.
Do you think that, and sometimes those age well over time, like Majesties, for example. Majesties is another one that kind of leaves you from the theater leaving a little bit down and sad. How do you think this one will maybe age, differently over time, or do you think?
I do think it might. I will say this, if you take a look at from a statistics standpoint, there's more people that sort of loved it at the beginning that upon rewatching it, and then also rewatching some of the other films, they kind of, their exuberance lessens a little bit. But I do think like in a few years, once we have the new Bond and look back, we'll say, oh, that makes sense with the arc of Daniel Craig, as everybody's so fond of saying, the arc. There's no Roger Moore arc.
Yeah. Yeah, the arc. Yeah.
It's the arc of the Craig. It's just, that's what it is.
It's the arc of Craig. Daniel Craig deserves an arc. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right about it makes sense, because I felt that same way when I left the theater. Like, okay, they want to wrap up the Felix, they want to wrap up the Bond story, the Madeline storylines. You're like, okay, it makes sense what they're setting up for in the future. But when you're paying attention to those things too much, it's like, okay, then was the movie actually good on its own? Or are you just thinking about it makes sense that they did it this way? Yeah.
And I think you two really liked it. Alana, I think you really liked it.
I really
Yeah.
liked it.
Yeah, that's great. I'm jealous. You don't understand. My friend, I think you know him, Joe Darlington, being James Bond. He loves it, not likes it, loves it, thinks the ending was perfect, thinks Bond making pancakes in the morning for a child is perfect. And I'm just like, who hurt you? Who hurt you?
I love it. I love because Elma and I both, I mean, I think I liked it more than she did, but we both liked it. So we didn't have as much discussion around that. This is fun.
I think this is going to be good because dare I say that Elma is the sandwich meat. And I don't mean to objectify you. I'm not. I'm not. Don't get on me. I don't want hate mail.
Feel free.
It's the wrong show to say that. But you have Alana who's in the love section. You've got David who says it's very good. And Elma, you're probably in the middle.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a middle child tendency to kind of be in between.
David, do you have any siblings? Are you middle?
I do. I do. I have an older brother and an older sister. So I'm the baby.
Baby. I'm an only child. We got a middle child and a baby. There we go.
Alana, you're the baby too then.
Yeah, awesome. I'm a full baby.
Yeah, and you're lost.
Full baby.
I'm a full baby. I expect you to baby. I'm gonna see something on your Instagram where Alana's kicking up in the air like that with crumbs on her. The cat,
the cat crumb. If I was fast enough, I would have put on a Zoom filter of like me in a diaper, but
I know there's one out there.
Unfortunately. You know, I forgot that my mom has a house phone. Can you guys hear it?
No.
Okay. Because you got to explain yourself when you have a house phone. Just saying. Yeah, it's ringing. That's okay. We can pretend we didn't hear it.
Do you mean the phone is actually attached to the house?
I mean, it's wireless, if that makes a difference. It's not a corded phone. Cordless.
Elma, you better control this. This is going to get out of hand.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Next question. Wait, we had a great segue there where David, you were talking about how the characters are going to basically be recast in the next movie. That was so when I watched the movie, I was not thinking of all of these franchise aspects. And when I got out of the movie and I spoke to Elma, especially on our previous podcast about it, I was like, well, do you think Nomi's going to come? And when Nomi comes back, this is going to happen. And she's like, what are you talking about? She's probably not going to come back. And I'm like, what? So I have all these questions about, wait, what are you guys as Bond aficionados? What does this movie mean for future movies? Like who's getting recast or not, or what's speculation and what's like quite certain?
And I'll give you a shorthand too. So I think you know this already. I'm not saying this for your audience. I'm a fan of yours, both of yours. And so I listened to every one of your podcasts. So I remember you talking about that and you were shocked that Nomi wasn't just naturally going to come back into Bond 26. But I don't think you'll see any of those same actors. I really don't. I think, and they're not going to go back to the 1950s or the 1960s, but I think they're going to absolutely, you have to understand, this was Craig's arc and Craig wanted to end it on his death. So the writing of that Bond 25, No Time to Die, started with his death and they worked it backwards, which if you read between the lines was problematic in many areas, including the director who's like, it's got to be a deserved death. So that's done. They're going to put that all aside and then they're going to say, all right, now we've got the new adventures of James Bond and it's going to be a new Bond with new characters. I don't think they're going to wait 2 or 3 movies to introduce Moneypenny and Q, and they're not going to do that. It's going to be a very whole movie. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I think it's not going to be a reboot origin story. I think they're going to go a couple years into his tenure as James Bond, 007.
That would be great. Yeah, because they've already done Casino Royale. I don't know how you would reboot that origin story.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Wait, so do you think they'll just replace M and Moneypenny also?
All of them. All of them.
Okay.
I think it's going to be like the new adventures like they do with Superman and they do with all of these different themes, because if you think about it, it's not just about putting to sleep, and I hate to put it like this, excuse the pun, putting to sleep Daniel Craig's run. It's about re-sparking the entire franchise. They really need to do that. So if you say, and they did it with Judi Dench, I know, but they really didn't reboot the whole thing with Judi Dench.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't have Pierce Brosnan becoming James Bond. You had Daniel Craig becoming James Bond, and they had this kind of sinew that they touched. I don't think they're going to do that again.
That's interesting.
But what do you hope for? Do you hope that they bring back those older characters?
Yeah,
I want
Alana,
Paloma.
tell us your hope. Yeah.
I just want Paloma. I'm like, frankly,
we all want
I'm
Paloma.
open to a spin-off. Let's have anything as long as we can have that character. You know, let's take Phoebe Waller-Bridge and offer her an entirely separate movie, nothing to do with James Bond, but secretly the character is the same personality as Paloma. I'm in. I don't care. I need Paloma.
So I would so be in for a Paloma series like Killing Eve, like written by Phoebe.
Exactly.
Would be amazing.
Yeah.
You read our minds.
Yeah, right. It could be like her entire 6-week training. It could be like literally leading up to that moment.
A prequel.
Awesome.
Here, actually, I have a question that this kind of applies to.
This is why I'm Alana's favorite.
You're blowing my mind here. Do we think that there's any chance that the James Bond franchise will start doing other properties, like a prequel, like spin-offs of any sort? Like, just because this is a fad in media at the moment, in movies and things, like the Marvel universe has really set an example for what all you can do and what money you can make. So do we think they will at all maybe in the next decade?
I'm torn, because if you asked me this 6 months ago, I would have taken a quote from Barbara Broccoli, who said, I'm not interested in doing a James Bond movie without James Bond, or a James Bond series, because there was a lot of talk of, oh, what does it mean for Amazon, you know, who love series. They're all about the series. But then this new book is coming out.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Well, Alana, this is why Elma and I are here. Elma, do you know about the new book?
No.
Oh,
I love that.
this is why I'm here.
This is why David's here.
There is, and I'll start off by saying this for a particular reason. There is a woman author, the first James Bond woman author, who is writing a book about, it starts off, the description, James Bond is missing. And it's all about young MI6 agents that go out on adventures, maybe have to find him, etc. And I'm actually getting an interview with this woman who wrote the book, because I'm fascinated. So if, again, now I'm saying, oh my gosh, maybe there is a chance that we get these things, these spinoffs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess it depends how well the book goes, I would assume.
I would agree with you. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. That makes me curious, because I mean, in general, I feel like they won't do these spin-offs and, they're very protective of their brand.
Yes.
And I think that they're confident that they can, their branding and everything's kind of will stay strong without falling into these trends of like cinematic universes and stuff. Because they've just lasted so long and people will always keep coming back for James Bond.
I agree. Go ahead.
That, like they would just pull in such a new, fresh audience for something just, parallel to Bond, I think.
One of the biggest disconnects, and it happened with this movie too, 6 years, is they lack consistency. They don't have video games, they don't have series, and they don't have movies that happen on a regular basis, so they get forgotten. I think if they did concentrate on doing the new James Bond movie, so you start with 26, and every 2 years you have a new James Bond movie, people won't forget it as easily. And I think in between, you have a video game that comes out that helps to support this.
Yes. You're right, because it's so much effort to remarket every single time to remind you who is James Bond, what happened, and all these things about his adventures and the history. It is a lot of work every single time. Consistency would be great. Do you think we will see more consistency now with Amazon?
Oh, yes.
Yeah? Oh, yeah.
Wait,
I think.
What is the Amazon connection?
Oh, okay.
You can order a James Bond movie and get free shipping. That's the connection. No. So Amazon, this is so much fun because I can really say anything. But what really happened was.
I know, I'm gullible.
No. No. It's most humans should not know this information.
Yeah. We're just having fun. Please fill Alana in.
Amazon came along and bought MGM for like billions of dollars. So they bought their entire library plus James Bond. Now, MGM only owns half of the James Bond franchise, and it's really only the distribution rights. It's not the creative side. So Eon, Danjak, the family itself, the Broccoli family, and Michael G. Wilson, they own James Bond. It's not like Amazon can come and go knock, knock, knock. We have a great idea for a film. They only own half of like the distribution aspects. I think I got that right. But there is probably an influence on what happens in consistency, and they're stockholders now. So I'm sure they're going to have influence.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I had not thought, about that.
Yeah.
Right. It conjures up. I see where your brain is going, because it's like, hold on, Amazon Prime, tons of video series. I'm back to the series thing. So possible.
Yeah, they love it. And people love to make series off of characters that are already in existence. It's
a cash cow as long as they keep it. I mean, they need someone like, I don't know if you know the name, Kevin Feige, who is, right. He's the creative connective tissue of the Marvel universe. It's why you can have 14 different characters.
The fascia.
Yes, yes.
The fascia of Marvel.
Right.
He's the god fascia.
To hire that. The god fascia.
Hello, I am God Fascia. Yeah.
Great to speak to people that understand our language. So basically, you need somebody like that to keep it all together. But I think I'm where Elma is, and Elma, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just want great movies every 2 years. And I want great Bond movies that are, I don't know, it's so serious out there. I want kind of fun, a little bit frivolous, just getting back to that a little.
A little bit frivolous. That's a good way to put it. Yes.
I want play.
Yeah, exactly. We both. I mean, we want to have fun and want to see the Bond actor having fun playing Bond. Yeah, like it definitely. That's what makes it magical and like looks. It's something for us to be inspired by. When it's like that, it just broody and moody. It gets a little bit monotonous and
it doesn't play on those nostalgic strings. And Elma, there was an episode where you talked about, it could have been one of your last ones, where you talked, and I could hear the nostalgia coming through my headphones. You were talking about watching it as a young girl, one of the films, and you were loving the play between Moneypenny and Bond. Nowadays, that would be an HR issue. Of course it would be. But you said there was such playfulness, and it was give as good as you can get on both sides. So to me, if the new movie plays on those nostalgic strings, it could be like, have you ever seen the series called Cobra Kai?
Yeah. Oh, I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. My brother loves it though.
So it's amazing because it basically pokes fun. It puts a series of today in the world of the 80s, but these characters haven't moved out of the mindset. So they don't have this sensitivity, but of course they poke fun at it. It's almost like the Brady Bunch movies where they're stuck in the new era, but they're pieces of the past. And I think you can do that with Bond. I think you can have these kind of older tropes and have fun and be frivolous, but also a wink and a nod to the rest of the audience saying, this is crazy, right? Like he's a bit of a relic from a bygone day.
Yeah,
I love that.
Self-awareness. Yeah, exactly. That would be funny. But do you really think that I mean, we know our wishes. Do you think they actually will do something a little bit lighter? Do you think they'll stay in the serious mode as like an action movie for slightly older than children?
So I don't think,
that's a rating, actually. It's PG-13.
Exactly. I don't think it's going to go back to like Moonraker. But I don't think it's going to go back to like No Time to Die either. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. I think that they're, maybe almost like a Timothy Dalton, like a Living Daylights type thing where you're still having fun, but Bond has some very serious, dangerous moments. And I think if you have really adept writers that understand the characters, you can have, Alana said it so perfectly, you can have a certain amount of playfulness with that, where the fun and frivolity is actually a palate cleanser. When you have something violent and dangerous, suddenly you have a whimsical moment and you're like, I needed that.
Yeah. I feel like the world needs that right now. And like everything just feels so serious and heavy. And I'm someone who gets stuck in my head a lot. So this is definitely true for me. I'm not saying everybody's as extreme as me, but I have like friends who are that palate cleanser. I think we all do, who you'll talk through whatever's going on. They'll be like, yeah, but you're living life on a planet in the middle of the universe, and you're like, you're right. Let me relax a little. And like, we need some of that in these movies, especially right now while the world is intense.
Yeah. Well, you know what you are, and I say this in the most positive way because you do it in a positive way. You tend to carry the burden. And what happens is with a lot of people, especially nowadays during a pandemic, is, they'll have a wonderful life, but then they'll see the burden outside of their direct life and they'll start to carry it on them. They accept it. They feel responsible or almost guilty that, I'm smiling in the sunshine. And I don't want my Bond films to be that. And I got a little bit of that with No Time to Die, where I was like, you put the burden a little bit on me. And I don't know, I get enough of that. Like I run a company and, I've got a big family, and I got that when I leave the theater. I don't know if I want it during the theater moment.
Yeah, you want to escape and just soak it in, the entertainment. Yeah.
Well, hold on. Speaking of family, James Bond had a daughter in this movie.
What?
Did you hear?
Wait a minute. I missed that plot point. No.
Do we think, what do you think is going to happen with the daughter? Like, clearly you think they're going to reboot fully, but in the I don't know. Think? To me, it's significant that he's never had a daughter before, and now he has had a daughter, at least in some universe. Part of me thinks in like 5 years they would do a spinoff, and it would be about the daughter. Part of me says no way. I don't know. I just feel like that's the fact that he has a child is a significant something.
I think it is a significant something, and I don't want to dismiss it. I think it's significant because it resonated with a lot of people that have families, or just the gravitas of having a child in jeopardy is worse than potentially the entire world exploding. I mean, that's the reality. When you have a child, I mean, you have Crumbs, so Crumbs is her cat.
It's not
cat. That she has Crumbs. It's just one of 5 names, folks.
I got crumbs all over my couch.
I got crumbs and I can't clean them, and I won't because they're delicious. But the reality is that I don't know if they're going to go back to such a heavy emotional connection of the stakes. And every Bond film has stakes. World jeopardy, financial ruin, M being kidnapped, Crumbs being held hostage, right? So I don't know if they're going to go back to the family emotional moment. I think that whole thing of family life in James Bond is done.
Is out.
He said, hopefully.
Yeah, I thought it was really, I'm sorry, I have to cut myself off because I'm realizing some things Alana doesn't know yet about a book we might read. Anyway.
You only live twice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I bought it to read at the same time for your guys' book club, and I could not read it in time. So
it's a good
sorry.
You'll get to it. Yeah, you'll get to it.
She was amazing.
Oh,
No, amazing.
No, you're honestly, you make it easy and comfortable. Great host all the time.
No, it's stone soup. I bring the stone. Everybody else brings the meat and the broth and the veggies.
Oh my God, I miss the concept of stone soup. I feel like I haven't heard about that.
I'm bringing it back. It's going to be the next Bond plot. It's not.
I love it.
That would be great. But yes, the daughter plot point though, was that something you were aware of before the move, before you went into No Time to Die? I know some people knew the spoiler already.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, So 2 years from the actual premiere, I knew about the daughter because, and actually you had a little sneak hint. So if you watched my videos, I had her coat in the background of all my videos, every single one of them.
Oh my gosh.
Hiding in plain sight. So
love it.
People realize that little Easter egg, but I didn't realize that they were going to serve it up quite like that. And I certainly didn't think, I thought there was a possibility he could die, but I thought they were going to create like a nebulous ending where you see like a finger twitch, or you see him. Like there's so many different endings that they could have done where it had its heaviness, but you feel like the world of Bond is still alive.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, Alana had a question. She says,
I don't even remember it.
I'm gonna, yeah, I probably don't know what you're thinking. Is James Bond dead then? Like is he actually dead? You know, like are there confirmations of that?
Yeah, it's confirmation. So Cary Fukunaga has done post interviews, I mean, as recently as like 2 weeks ago, and the producers, that not only is he dead, they worked with special effects in the editing to say, don't make it nebulous. Like make sure, and actually there's a freeze frame where his hand is actually amidst the fire blast. If you freeze frame it, you see it go like that.
Wow.
So he's cooked.
Oh God, that was just intense to even consider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's been cremated, essentially.
Wow.
Now, Doo is still alive. That little stuffed animal is still kicking.
Okay. Oh, wow.
That's a cool spinoff.
Like
Ted and Doo. Yeah.
Somebody's going to write a children's book about that little doll. Yeah, you should do it. Just do it.
Or like you could do like Doo and like Baby Yoda, like Lil Grogu.
Yes.
Cross universe.
Does Disney Plus ever play with Amazon? Maybe. We could do it as a series.
I think they're warring factions, but anyway.
Yeah. It'll be a fan fiction. It's fine.
Should we talk a little bit about, like, you brought up the visuals of this movie being so amazing, you know? When we left the theater, I was like, this is one of the most beautiful Bond movies I've ever seen. And Alana, since she watched Spy Who Loved Me recently, is like, oh, I think this rivals No Time to Die also. But
I still think No Time to Die wins, but that might be because it's modern and we have technology that they didn't. Yeah, so.
But I know what Alana's talking about. The desert scenes in The Spy Who Loved Me they're right out of oh my gosh, I'm having a senior moment. What's the very famous desert movie where the American becomes the what's that?
Lawrence of Arabia.
Yes. Yeah. It almost looks like Lawrence of Arabia. In fact, they even use the theme during one of the parts. Yes, they use Lawrence of Arabia in the background. But this movie, I would say, is in the top 3 most beautiful spectacle James Bond movies, from the stunts to the color to the way it's filmed, even the sunset over Matera, how they show the sun setting and then coming up, and just everything, you know, the snot coming out of her nose in the DB5 when she's like, but even that is just amazing how they capture all that.
Yes.
You must have felt the same way.
Madeline in those scenes, I thought, beautiful. I was asking Alana, do you think it's more about the actors working with the director? Is it the directors pulling something out of them, or is it just the writing? I mean, there's probably both. Because I felt like those moments with Madeline when she's like, you know, her lip crumbles and she's so sad about like never gonna see James Bond again. Those moments are so captured so beautifully, and you don't see that kind of emotional subtlety often in these movies, you know. And I love that. Like, I do want lightness in the future, but I like those little bits of just capturing that human emotion. Really want some of that.
So I do love that. And what I love is his response, because it's so Bond. He just looks at her and goes, okay. And to me, okay, as opposed to towards the end of the movie, when he has these soliloquies, he has these ballads where he's like, you know, everything you've made is perfect. And I love you so much. And now I have got something that I want to read. And it's only a couple pages, but here I go. It's like, that's not James Bond. James Bond is looking at somebody and going, okay.
That's a good point. I guess I let my fantasy run away with that because I was like, wonderful, love it. But is that really in his character?
Right. Like, James Bond has always been about show, don't tell. Like, once you start telling, then I don't know if it's James Bond.
You know, it might have been nice then for there to be some element of something he set up that would be a showing to her and have him not do the speaking. Although I still loved it. But yeah, in the context of James Bond, there are more flaws than I care to admit.
Or just turn her around and spank her in the butt and go, you know, say goodbye, Madeline.
Okay. I forget the word he says.
Say goodbye, babe. Move along.
Man talk.
Man talk, that's it.
Man talk.
You do realize there is a podcast called Man Talk.
There is.
It James Bond related? Oh, no. Oh no! Oh yes! I don't
It
know.
could be the polar opposite to Dress to Kill. I'm
It could
thinking it might be.
I love it. I love it.
We have to check that out for sure.
Diversity makes this beautiful, this world
Absolutely.
beautiful, right?
But isn't that
So-
great? Like, look
Agreed.
at us. We have all these different opinions, but I think that's what makes it so, it's the spice. Because if we all were just these robots following these same things, how boring.
Yeah, we would never
Totally.
progress and evolve. We won't evolve. Yeah,
No.
we'll just all think
Yeah.
Goldfinger is the best movie. And-
It has its moments.
Okay, I have
Yes,
one
so-
more clarifying I need. One more bit of clarifying I need.
Hmm.
I don't quite understand. So James Bond is meant to have been the same guy through all of these adventures, even though technically we're moving through time. Things that happen to James Bond have happened to James Bond. But then how, like, for example, we can call on the fact that he's been married if we're seeing a movie that takes place after Her Majesty's in his chronological timeline. But so how does this movie work then if he dies and if he has a child? How does that, because those are things that I don't know. Does this
These are the riddles of the ages. Alana. This is what Bond fans sit as they're getting close to the emptiness of their drink on a Friday night, and they're like, "What the fuck are we doing now?" But I will say this: I think it depends on the treatment of the writer and the producers. So, for example, you
Okay.
could have Roger Moore go up in For Your Eyes Only to the grave of Tracy Bond, which, hold on a second, that harkens back to 1969 on Her Majesty's
Yeah.
Secret Service with,
Mhm.
wait a minute, that's George Lazenby. You're crossing the lines here. How dare you? But when
Hmm.
Daniel Craig rebooted, he didn't have a wife. So what happened to that
Oh,
wife that
really?
Roger Moore had? Correct. There
I
was
felt
no,
like Daniel Craig was like prior in
Because-
timeline because he had the like origin stuff.
Oh,
well, in a way, but the
Hmm.
time, now he's dead. So how can he have a wife
okay,
when he's
yeah, I
dead?
mean,
But then
So-
he died. So
So the streams, here's what I think is happening. And this is why I think with the reboot of Bond 26, it's going to be easier than people think. This is almost like, if you know string theory.
Yeah,
String
it's the
theory is
multiverse.
like right
Mhm.
now, the three of us are having a million different versions in our lives every single second. You know, there's one where my house blows up and you go, Dave, are you still on? David, are you still on? There's a version like that, maybe. But my point being is, you got to think about James Bond like string theory, that there's all these different versions of different things happening. The people look different. James Bond looks different. And sometimes the strings cross. So you get a little bit of overlap.
Mm.
So in the new Bond with Henry Cavill, for example, I think, thank you. I think what's going to happen is you'll get a lot of the tropes that look very familiar, but that's it. I think, you know, I don't know if they're going to harken back to like older bad guys or the fact that he had a daughter or did he blow up in a building. They're not going to do that.
they kind of closed Spectre altogether, right?
But
They-
in that timeline,
Yeah,
just like they
sure.
closed James Bond in that timeline too.
right. So who knows? I have a question though. So usually what they like to say when they reboot
This got
is
dark. Sorry.
they like to say go back to Fleming and they look at the the
Yes.
source material. Is there still source material
Hmm.
that they can pull from? How much of, and then there's the continuation novels. I don't know if they've used material from that. You're probably familiar.
There's a continuation novel. Actually, some of the continuation novels seem very familiar in the movies, but I don't think they purposely did that. There is so much
Wow.
they could use from Fleming still. Titles,
Okay.
they've only got a few, you know, Risico and Property of a Lady and things like that. But I think there is so much raw material that they could use. And it's not just the high adventure and excitement stuff. It's the smaller moments. It's the monologues. It's the way a bad guy is or the henchman. It's how Bond uses his brain as opposed to his brawn to get out of things. Those were those Fleming
love.
moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we like that.
That's why I love From Russia with Love. And Elma, you like that movie too, right?
Yes.
And Alana, not so much? You certainly didn't like his suits. I do remember that.
Remind me exactly which ones.
They were the
Roger
ones
would
where he
love.
wore baggy gray suits,
Gotta love the
baggy
gray
gray.
Who's
suits.
the Bond in it?
Sean
Connery,
Connery.
and then
Oh,
Daniela
Connery.
Bianchi with the blonde hair, short blonde
I
hair. And
think you
Turkey.
just reviewed it,
Oh,
but
yeah. I liked it. I didn't
Okay.
dislike it.
I think
not
Elma
my
and I
favorite.
like nearly
Like it
worship
more.
But anyway, one of the reasons I love it is it's back to spy, intrigue,
Yes.
espionage.
Yes.
Same.
It's back to
I love
sneaking around and using his head as opposed to picking up a machine gun and playing, PlayStation 5 and just
I
Mhm.
completely agree. I cannot hammer this home harder. 10 times what you're saying.
Oh, you got that out right. I would have effed that up. Hammer that home harder.
Everybody say it 5 times fast right now.
Yeah, no.
So impressed. Wow.
Yeah.
This
I
is 9
agree
o'clock
with
in the
you
morning
on
for her. Imagine her like at 10:30.
I woke up at
You'll
7:30
be on fire.
Hawaii time, guys.
that.
For this,
Yeah.
your heart got smart.
I have to look pretty. It takes a minute.
It's the best way to start a Friday, I think. How
It
fun.
is.
really
This is
is.
amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let's get back.
Yeah.
Speaking of the different characters continuing to play in different movies, I was watching, I tried to get my mom to watch No Time to Die last night with me. I was also editing one of our podcasts, but like you guys, I've seen it a million times. So I had it playing and she fell asleep. So we'll have to watch it again.
At what point does she fall asleep?
In the beginning. And then she kept waking up and seeing things. And I was like, Mom, you can't, now it's spoilers for you. I'm turning it off. She was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm fine. Like, no, mother, not for this movie.
Oh,
It's her Thursdays are a Friday. Like she finishes work Thursday is her last day. So she was just done end of the week.
I'm
Spazzing out on the
sure.
couch.
yeah. You've got
Very
to
cute.
definitely want to be awake. It is one of those movies. I think
Right?
both of you have said that you can't like be dusting in the background. You've got to like
Pay
attention.
attention. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fun when you pay attention. It's rewarding.
It is. Yeah,
But
it is.
she saw some moment and she goes, is that Blofeld? Blofeld's still around? She had some comments about, I thought Blofeld was in the 60s. And I was like, oh, Mom,
Oh.
you don't understand the Bond string theory.
you got to get her on the podcast. Get her on the podcast.
We just
Yeah.
did. Well,
Yes.
spoiler, we recorded way earlier than it's going to go up, but,
That's
but we
amazing.
did.
Yes, it was amazing. It was so much fun.
I can't wait.
It was
to
actually so insightful because she was a teenager when these movies were coming out. Like such interesting perspective.
Very cool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I love that she remembers Blofeld and like she knows enough to pick up on these things.
She knows enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When she's awake, we'll make it.
I can't wait.
No, when she's sleeping.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Do you have any more questions for David about the movie, the meat of the movie?
I was just trying to think if I have any leftover stuff to ask. I mean, this has been so. I've learned a lot. We'll say I've learned a lot. And I love that it's like we have a bit of a multiverse thing going on. I mean, that's what's going on in Marvel. That seems to be what's going on in all of these properties where we're reusing characters that people love. So very cool. I guess I'm just curious, you mentioned who you think will be the next James Bond. Do you have insight? What are your thoughts? Do you really think that Henry Cavill's the next James Bond?
Yes.
You feel like 100%? What percentage?
No, I don't think I would ever be 100%, but
Okay.
I do think that he will be the next James Bond. I think that they are going to go just slightly more commercial for him. A lot of the Bonds that we know, like Roger Moore and well, a lot of them actually, they were brought in, like Pierce Brosnan, beforehand when they were young, didn't quite make it, and then brought in when they were older, like Henry Cavill. He was, maybe you don't know this, Alana, he was auditioned alongside Daniel Craig for Casino Royale, but they found him too young looking and actually a little pudgy, believe it or not, back then. And they didn't hire him, but he was in the top 3.
And if
Interesting.
would they want him? I'm just like brimming with excitement. I love Henry Cavill. So does Elma. I also love.
Yeah.
I met him
She's
once
met
in
him.
person. I gotta say,
Yeah.
every time, because this is my favorite celebrity story. He was just such a fantastic, amazing human to me that I cannot sing his praises highly enough.
Yeah.
Will always repeat that. But he, is he less bulky now? He's very
Oh, no, no, no.
muscular.
No,
Yeah.
he's muscular. And he can lean
Very
down,
muscular.
but he doesn't always trend super like Superman
Yeah.
bulky.
But isn't
And
he playing Witcher? And if he's going to keep playing The Witcher on Netflix, which is,
well,
I think he
Harrison
will, 'cause
Ford
it's
played
popular
Han Solo, Blade Runner, and Indiana Jones.
in like one period of
Yeah,
time.
there was overlap. So I mean, my point being, why can't he do many different things? And
No, I just mean muscle wise, because The Witcher is supposed to be like bulk muscle
Supernatural.
boy.
but he was pretty muscular in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I don't know if you saw The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah, and I thought he looked fantastic.
He looked great. He didn't look like he was like
It's the tailoring.
pushing out of his suit. I think so here's one of the things. I mean, there are people that say he's too wooden. I don't think people have seen him in everything. The other thing is, I don't think you need a Bond who is a Shakespearean actor. I don't think Bond needs to be subtle. He needs to have an economy of words. He needs to be badass. He needs to look the part. He needs to look like he can woo like men and women. It doesn't matter.
Yes,
like he just
I
woo the
agree.
world. He
Love
gets
that.
my wife's, seal of approval, which Pierce Brosnan got. So I don't know. I think he is perfect. Plus, Alana, you nailed it. I think we need an actor who is a Bond ambassador to the world. We had it with Roger Moore. Roger Moore was so good to fans. And it seems like it jumps a little bit. Like you had Sean Connery, where you wouldn't want to be in the same zip code with him. And then you had Roger Moore, who's really nice. Tim Dalton just kind of didn't want to be around anybody. Pierce Brosnan is a sweetheart to people. And then you had Daniel Craig. Okay. And I think if you have Henry Cavill, it's going to be the fans actor. I mean, he's just so wonderful. So for me, it's a secret wish list too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I feel like if they have him, they definitely can't start from the beginning, because although I'm totally obsessed with him, he's a little too old for that. Like that would not be believable for me.
He's 35, which is what Ian
He's
Fleming
only
paints.
35?
I know. Wow.
Yeah, but
Maybe
that's still
it's
good.
because they made the other Bonds seem younger.
That's still good for you,
in their
right?
origins.
That's still within the.
He could be 70 and I'm like, that's fine because I love him. But to properly fit the story, just to speculate. Oh, so they could totally do origins with him too. Maybe he's just been playing older characters lately. I don't
Fleming
know.
had Bond at 34 to 35. That's what
He
Fleming
had. He birthed Bond.
No, sorry. That was so
Also,
painful
my mom
for him
had
too.
me at 35 too.
It was a miracle too. It just came out. No,
It's a
but
miracle.
you have that going for you. But no, he basically writes as if Bond was 34 or 35 in all the stories.
Okay.
He doesn't age.
Well, that's wonderful. I don't know how I've not known that. I mean, he's like.
Who would you want as Bond? Both of you.
I've said it before. I would love Henry Cavill, but I didn't think that, like it just seemed like a fantasy. I didn't think they'd consider someone so commercial just because the way it's trended. They kind of like to groom you into becoming Bond. But I like what you're saying, and it makes sense more and more.
And think
Henry
about it
Cavill,
from a financial
ambassador.
standpoint. You've got Alana, you mentioned The Witcher. You've got Witcher audience. You've got DC audience. You have an automatic audience of all ages, including the gaming audience, who are going to go.
Girls. Just women.
Just
Straight
women.
Women will totally into that.
Yes, and like I never thought
Absolutely.
of going to see a Bond film, but you know what? Oh, that guy's in it. I think I'm going to go. It would drive audiences to boot.
And those are all pretty young audiences, which is what they're looking to recapture.
Yes.
It definitely makes sense. What I love about Henry Cavill and what I would want in a future Bond would be, he has all the right qualifications. Like, oh, hold on.
He's charming.
He's charming. He's got the look. He's beautiful. He's got the body. He's got all the capacity to like do physical things, but he's really witty and clever. And the cleverness in him as a person shows in his acting. He seems like a clever guy in almost every character he plays. And he can play that like one word, quick response, like very masculine guy, but he can still come across clever. And we want more of that playful Bond that has those clever moments where he's using his brain, not just his brawn, right?
Thank you.
So I would love that.
And I find, you tell me if I'm wrong on this too, but I find in observing him in a lot of different films and TV series, he has a great facial acting that goes on. So even when he's not saying words, he's got, it's not this Botox ridden thing where it's like, it's like everything is just moving so nicely.
Yeah.
And he's got these expressions where if you look at the Man from U.N.C.L.E., he does these like little like side looks and stuff like that. It says a whole paragraph without having to do a soliloquy.
Yes, and
he's
that's
very
what
cheeky.
we need.
Mhm.
Yes, he is a wonderful facial actor. That's a perfect way to describe that. Yeah.
It's why I was able to say what Alana was saying to me even when she was on mute. Alana's a facial actor, for those that didn't know.
I'm a facial actor when I'm facing another person, but I've learned editing my own photos, I do not express enough in my face when I'm shooting my own pictures. I'm always like, oh shoot, you gotta emote, girl. This just looks like blank.
The bouncing off of someone else thing.
Yeah, so I can say from experience, it's a thing to be a good facial expresser. You're not born with it necessarily.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, so I have a question,
I love that.
David. Yeah. What do you think about, okay, so if they're going kind of commercial, maybe in theory, maybe, what do you think about in the production and directors wise, or like, do you think they're gonna pull more commercial directors? Or do you have
That's
any
a really
thoughts
good question.
On the
I mean, I love how you put it, Elma, of, hey, we have our wish list and then we have the likelihood of things. And again, I'll just put my little asterisk. I have no insider knowledge other than, things I hear and catch up and pick up. But I'll say this, I would love for Martin Campbell to come back. And it is a little bit of a nostalgic move. So he did, Alana, he did reboots basically for Pierce Brosnan. He did Pierce Brosnan's first. And he did, Daniel Craig's first. Yeah. Casino Royale. So I think it'd be great. And I think it would be box office catnip to bring him back for the first one of Henry Cavill's. And he's a very good action director. So I think he can bring the romance, the action, the personality, the badass situation, and make it a big blockbuster. But I have no idea which direction they'll go in. I hope it's not art house. I will say that.
Okay. I don't think it will be. I feel like the indie film vibe phase has kind of.
Yeah, like I don't want, this is going to sound terrible because it's going to sound like I don't like it, but I don't want the director of Dune.
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
When that was in kind of question that he could be considered for a Bond, me and my husband both were just like, oh, I'm so glad he didn't do Bond. And he made Dune instead because he belongs there. And it's so good.
Go to Dune.
Yeah.
Stay in Dune world.
Amazing. Yeah.
Don't come close.
Yeah. Okay. One last thing I have. What about Bond girls? Is there any Bond girls that haven't been on screen yet that you?
You guys. Only you. Only.
Can we cameo as like a little fighter duo that does acrobatics and dance?
You could be
Bambi and Thumper.
Yes.
We need more Bambi and Thumper types. I think that'd be so cool.
Us.
I mean, Diamonds Are Forever was about the duos, the Bambi and Thumper and Wynton Kid. I would like to see something like that. Some tag team happening.
I will say this, since you did ask a direct question, I will give an answer besides my plan A, which is both of you. My plan B, my hope, and I'm not trying to kiss up or anything or be a sycophant. I actually do mean this. I want Bond to have Bond girls that are more commiserate to his age. And I'm not about ageism. I would even be fine if they're older. What I find weird is that, and I'm very happy what they did in No Time to Die, where Paloma, and she almost gives like an icky face, like when he goes, "Oh, are we?" And she's like, "Oh no," like
we love it,
buddy,
love it, yeah.
But I think that just to have, it's more of an acknowledgement to the audience, saying that, this is okay. Like, you don't need to have these good-looking, successful Playboy-like men only going after young women. Like, it's okay that they're going to find something in common. Like, maybe he's not even attracted to this woman until he sees her do something amazing or in action or a position of power or something like that. And then he's like, whoa, you just went from an 8 to a 10. Like, 'cause that's kind of what happens in real life when you get to know. But, and again, I know I'm kind of pedaling backwards on my reality Bond, but one of the best moments in Spectre was when he was with Monica Bellucci.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to me, it just seemed like that's a couple I want to see together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
Much more interesting that way,
Yes.
I want more body inclusivity too. And we got a lot of that in this past movie with Nomi. Wait, sorry. Nomi is the wrong girl. Okay, now every name is coming into my head.
Paloma?
With our female 007, we got some
No,
body.
yeah, Nomi.
Nomi.
Yeah, you were right.
Nomi's a character, and then now I'm thinking Naomi Harris is the other.
So confusing.
yeah, the two names.
So just a little bit of a flood happened real quick.
And there's a Naomi and Moonraker to make it even more confusing.
Oh, this is why I'm bad with names. But it's like a bingo card. I have to have a name problem in every episode so that it can check off the list. Alana and names. But problem. I felt like I loved that as a great example of body inclusivity that I'd like to have. She's not like stick thin or like slightly athletic stick thin. Those seems to be the only types you really have. And then like larger or medium boobs or maybe a bit of variety. But like, let's get even more. And I love Nomi's a perfect example. I'm not saying like they have to suddenly commit to wildly different bodies. Like let's ease into it is fine if you want to. But they really showed like this is a normal female body and she's powerful and incredible in it, and she's beautiful. Moving on. He takes her home, or she takes him home, kind of to his home in the beginning. So
takes him to his home. Yeah,
who's driving who? That's the real question.
That's right.
No, but I'm listen, this is a world of beautiful people, and beauty, again, to use another cliche, like, a cat poster, hang in there, baby. Beauty is so subjective. So having a variety of things that people can go, well, I'm totally for that. My whole thing is, I love the playfulness. And Elma, I know you've gone back to your nostalgic days of, I really do like the interplay. And I think Daniel Craig's had a fair amount in his film. I'm not saying there hasn't been, but I really do want that kind of wink and nod, that is kind of a part of the films.
Yeah, it's a bit of a fantasy.
They don't need to get married and have kids.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look up this actress's name. I just remembered there's one girl who I do want to be a Bond girl really bad. She's an Asian actress. She's been in a lot of movies lately. She was in Eternals. I can't remember.
Is it Constance? Is it the girl from Crazy Rich Asians?
She is in that also, yeah.
And
she's just like gorgeous.
No, what's her name?
Gemma Chan.
Gemma, there you go. Yes,
I love. Yes,
she's British actress.
Oh my god, and she is just like
she. Would be great. She would be.
And fantastic. She's a great actress. She's good at playing different. Personalities.
And by the way, if you go back, and I hate that I'm like quoting this film ad nauseum, but The Man from U.N.C.L.E., if you look at the two main women.
No, don't hate that you're quoting it. We love that movie.
Yeah.
Good.
I love it.
Vindicated. Yeah. But the two women in there are not typical, like what you would paint as quasi, kind of classic beauties. You've got one that's very, small and lithe, and, she's a mechanic, for goodness sakes. But then you've got the other one who literally is 6'5" and towers over the main hero. But there's the interplay, and you don't really think about it. You don't go like, well, that's out of the ordinary. Just like you didn't look at Nomi and you go, hold on a second, where's my size 2 that I'm looking forward to? You didn't do that.
It's a great line, because when you put it that way, it really points out how ridiculous it is that. But that's just been beauty standards in general. Like,
by the way, I apologize to all the size 2s. You're so fine. Doing great.
Inclusive. We love it all.
Size, all the sizes.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Beauty diversity would be amazing.
Yeah.
Even in the men, amongst the men. I mean, Bond looks the way he is, and he's a certain character, but I think there's room for other male characters and diversity, and
like our current Q.
All right, can I ask you a tough question?
Yeah.
Because you just said that. So would you be okay with Jack Black as James Bond?
No, when I say inclusivity, I mean in the film. Like, James Bond is a certain type of person, and I feel like so it makes sense that he looks a certain way. And like, if you had a character who was supposed to be the most like a swimmer, like a really intense swimmer, and they look like Jack Black, for example, I'd be like,
is it
if
believable?
they're an Olympic level swimmer
No, that's
that's
good to
not
hear.
in the character, that doesn't make sense. But you could still
No,
have like
exactly.
someone like Jack Black in the film and have a woman think he's really hot in the movie and let that be a part of it. Because clearly he can be very charming and there's nothing wrong with different body sizes. But it has to fit the character, of course. We're not just like woke throwing it out.
But what I'm more referring to is like the supporting characters. You know, there can be an Asian MI6 agent, like very large Indian community.
100%.
I want to see an Asian man. Have we even had an Asian man in Bond movies that was like
but they've been
on
bad
the
guys.
British side?
Bad guys or allies, like a kind of a Felix Leiter type.
A View to a Kill.
A View to Kill. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, but you know, like kind of, there could be a Asian Tanner. You know, like
who's Tanner? What's Tanner?
He's kind of like M's right hand person, always feeding information.
Alana, you know how I describe this podcast to people? I say it is a wonderful journey of two friends, one who really knows James Bond very well, who is Sherpa-ing her friend who is getting to know James Bond over time. That's exactly how I describe it.
100% accurate.
Elma, isn't that how I introduced you in the book club?
Yeah.
And she's like,
fully
I don't
accurate.
know that much. I don't know that much.
Well,
she knows more than she lets on. Because she's a little bit of a James Bond spy. Ooh, sneaky, sneaky.
She's an accepted geek.
Learning. I'm always learning. Yeah, definitely a geek, but I'm always learning from your channel for sure.
A humble geek.
A humble geek. No, but I do think that we need to have all of that. I think, but I like what you said. And I like the final thing you said with Bond, because some people forget that Bond needs to use his sensuality and sexuality and needs to be believable that people are going to do things outside of what they would normally do. Because if you look at spy history, women and men did that. Actually, more women than men used their wiles than men.
Yeah. I mean, it's an easy go-to for a woman. You can manipulate. I think
so
historically
easy.
Proven. Use your sex to manipulate.
Case in point.
Not that we're trying to do that by any means, but you know, it's a thing.
It exists, yeah.
I mean,
that won't even look good on YouTube.
Oh, by the way, before we sign off, I have to acknowledge what I'm wearing. I chose this silky blue, if you're watching on video, top because I wanted to do as much of a combination of our No Time to Die girls as possible. So I have the hair length and a little curl of Miss Swan, Madeline Swan. Yes. And I didn't wear any jewelry because she always just wears earrings. And so that was my attempt. And I wore this for Moneypenny, but the color is for Paloma. Yes. And the only person missing is I couldn't find a way to mesh all these with Nomi, except I have rings. I mean, that's kind of interesting. She wears interesting hardware. Yeah. So
is it just a shirt or is it?
It's just like a shirt. I can't really get to all of it, but it's
leg raise.
I would have put my solitaire dress on.
I thought about it, but I was like, that's if I bend over in one of those dresses mid-podcast, it's going to be a different podcast.
It'll be the most popular one. I'm just telling you right now.
Sure. It'll be for sure.
What happened to the numbers? Was it David or was it Mike? No, it was bending over. By the way, Elma, you could say that you're doing an homage to Sean Connery's Bengal tiger shirt from the pool scene in Thunderball.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yes.
There you go. Keen eye. My little Easter egg.
By the way, I want to formally invite the two of you kind of on the record because I'm doing a style happy hour that's literally going to go through all 25 films. We started with No Time to Die, and we're going to go backwards until we end with Dr. No for the 60th anniversary. And I want to have you on one of these happy hours to talk about the styles. And what I do is I literally go through a Rorschach test while we have cocktails. And we invite different people. So you'll be on with a bunch of people from the style community to chat. Do we hate them? Do we kill them? Is it a joke? It's going to be fun. And then we have a couple of surprise celebrities coming on. So will you do it?
Cool.
Yes.
I win. So fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, I already told you secretly you're my favorite, so I'd love to.
You cannot edit. I swear, if I listen to this and that's edited out, it's a boycott.
I mean this with full respect. You're great at what you do. So of course, it's always a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank
yes,
you.
we
No, it's
love it.
easy
Always.
when you have great people that you actually enjoy. Like this was not a chore. This is
so
not a
fun.
job. Just
You're
easy.
wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I completely agree. But look at that. Exactly. Perfect. Wonderful. What such a James Bond charm in the best ways that there are.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh, by the way, I was going to say when we were talking earlier about being Bambi and Thumper, if we ever made it out by you, we should do a cosplay. You can be James Bond and the two of us will find Bambi and Thumper outfits.
100%. By the way,
Would that be everything?
So here's the deal. I've had at my house, we've done it a couple times, James Bond costume parties at my house with food and drink.
So
And they're up on YouTube. You can actually find them. But people dressed to the nines, that's the perfect opportunity.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Bambi and Thumper, I remember we called her outfit a brown sack. Bring your own sack.
We can modern it up, maybe. We'll be like,
Wasn't
here's
one of
the
them like a
21st
unitard
century.
or something, or like shorts and
It's a brown sack.
But if we do the movements, like if one of us hangs from a bar and does a kick, like it's worth it. Wear a sack. You're doing a cool kick.
It's a sack
Elma
and
just
then a
did the
yellow
best
bikini.
thing. For those not watching this on YouTube, she just totally corrected me. He's like, no, Dave, don't try. Sit down before you hurt yourself. It's a brown sack.
Yeah.
It. End of discussion.
Nothing else.
Oh my gosh, this has been the most wonderful.
This has been so
talk.
fun. My cheeks
I
Oh,
love
no.
it.
Oh my
I know, mine
gosh.
too. Uh-oh.
I forgot to record.
Oh no.
No, I'm kidding. Of course I recorded.
Dude, it's happened
Sorry.
before though. We have.
Are you serious?
I don't know that we fully have forgotten to record, but we've had recording in format issues and things like that.
Yeah,
That's why we were
definitely
trying
that.
to do
No, I
backups.
That would be so
You
terrible.
live and you learn. You live and
Yeah.
you learn.
Yeah.
No, we should
Especially
record
when
it
this.
beautifully.
Oh, wonderful. Especially when it's not your main thing. It's hard. You're splitting focus a little, you know? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's
Totally.
happened. Oh, well.
This-
I have to ask you our very last question. Do you have a favorite look from No Time to Die?
I have just one.
I know it's hard. You can. You
Can I break it
think
down
out
with
loud.
casual and not casual?
Yeah,
or-
you know, we
Sure.
break rules all the time. Do whatever you want.
Okay, I'm a rule breaker also. So my favorite look is a very simple look, and it's on screen for 7 seconds. And it's the RGT trucker jacket, the beige trucker jacket with the white t-shirt, the Naked and Famous blue jeans, and the boots. When he opens up the garage, when he gets back to London and he
Yes.
sees his car.
Mm.
That is
And I
so
love that
short.
look because it was David Zaritsky's look before it was Bond's. Like I would wear these beige trucker jackets from Levi's, and it's just such an easy go-to. It's very Steve McQueen. It's very 1950s, 1960s, very classic look.
Love it.
When I
Oh, I
spoke to the
love.
costume designer about it, she also had that kind of aesthetic of just simple, gas alley type thing. But my number one favorite look is probably one of the first big purchases I made from No Time to Die, and that was the Tom Ford Prince of Wales check suit that he wears when he's back in London as Bond. It's
Looks so good.
it's so good. It's like the Goldfinger look. It's kind of like that Prince of Wales check. He's got the white crisp shirt. He's got the blue navy tie, the little bar. Oh,
Oh, great.
Gorgeous.
I love
Chef
it.
kiss.
Both of those are
Chef's
fantastic.
kiss.
Yeah.
yes.
Wonderful choices. We
What
love.
were
Do
yours?
you have a favorite woman's look? If we had to push you, just out of curiosity.
I mean, I don't know if this is even contested or an argument. but
Okay.
Paloma? I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
and by the way, it has
Same.
nothing to do with the plunging neckline or anything like that. I like the back. And I
back
like the
is-
color. I like the way it fits. It's just they did it beautifully. They executed it beautifully. I mean, I love Nomi's safari outfit, the nod to Roger Moore.
Yeah, that was good
That
too.
was a nice touch. But to me, I don't think Madeline Swan's outfits in any of the things were great.
I agree. I think they're very in character, so I appreciate them, but they're not
Yes.
desirable to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, her
Yeah,
best
we
look is when
definitely
she's
love
wearing his
Paloma.
linen shirt as
Oh, yeah.
a nightshirt,
Yeah.
Cute.
right? Which was
Oh,
kind of sweet when they were in
It's-
Matera, but
wonderful.
yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. My favorite look is probably Paloma if I had to pick just one, but it's the way she moves in it. Like it's video, it's the motion version of that look. It's something else in motion.
Yeah,
exactly. Because it's simple enough that you're not like thinking too much about the things on the dress or like catching your eye too much. It's just a vision of flowing fabric. And it's
what about your favorite Bond look of No Time to Die? Like Bond.
Mine was the gray suit.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
The same gray suit.
Yeah. Because it was in all the promos. He looked so good. And it was like,
you're a suit woman.
I designed menswear for a little bit. I was going to say,
she used to design suits. So
what? Why is this coming up after like 2 years?
I know, Lou. Come on. Make him
That's your opener.
Old back in the day a little bit. But yeah, I studied actually couture tailoring in London, like Savile Row techniques a little bit at Central St. Martin's. So I love the attention to
this would have been really good knowledge as an introduction on so many videos.
Yeah.
I'll get you next time.
She's a wealth of knowledge. She's so humble, but ask and you shall receive.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd.
Alana, what was your favorite Bond look?
I would have to relook at all the suits to look at the differences between them, but just off the cuff, I would say I really liked what he wore in, I think it's Jamaica, in his like little swim shorts and t-shirt. First of all, I love the short shorts, obviously. I love that he has the balls, not literally, kind of literally, to wear short shorts.
Because you see that too.
I mean, that's kind of the thing with short shorts on guys is like,
the worry,
there's some bulge.
You do. You see the wedding tackle really well.
Yeah, but I like that it was a throwback to like Sean Connery Bond always wearing these light blue shorts, and the like ripped up t-shirt really gave a vibe of where he was at in his life and what he's been doing for the past few months. And so I really like that. Wow. His suits are amazing.
Good answer. Really good answers. Sorry, I was just curious.
Wonderful. We're happy. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here, David. We've had the best time.
This was so much fun. Thank you.
We had a great, I had a great time too. It always goes so quick. It's like all of a sudden.
Oh, and I'm so sorry for being late.
I
was never going to mention that publicly.
We had plenty of difficulties, trust.
In some ways it was wonderful. I mean, for me it was, but I was saying to Alana, we had this exchange that was kind of voiceless in a way, but just through her expressions, I was like, you're saying so much to me. Our poor audience has no idea what we're talking about.
He said it was like watching a silent movie in color, and I just love that.
It's like, dig it in.
Meanwhile, I'm like doing all the things.
We just created the thumbnail just now with us doing this.
Just did. So it'll be a little blurry, but that's okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
David, will you let everybody know where they can find you? Socials.
Yeah, I'm not much of an online person. No, you can find me you can find me under The Bond Experience on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Same name.
Easy peasy. And you can find us on Instagram at Dress to Kill Pod, and we will put images up of our favorite picks from today. Ooh, today will be a fun one. We can kind of decide what we want to pick since we didn't have specific looks. Maybe we'll do one of our looks in the end here. We'll see. You'll have to check out our Instagram and check us out on Twitter at DTKPOD. We would love to hear feedback on what you guys thought about this. And this video is on YouTube you have to search Dress to Kill Pod, but hopefully it comes up now. We're posting more, so we're getting a little bit more visibility.
Thank you so much, David.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Yeah.